Yo, yo, what's good, fam? Hope everybody, all right. Hope everybody's doing okay. We're gonna get this started in a couple minutes. I'm gonna invite people into the room. Good morning. For those who don't know me, my name is Mario Matthews. I am the owner operator of Minutes Till Dawn Productions, and we are going to get into a more lengthy intro later in the stream. This is the Minutes Till Dawn Productions platform. Minutes Till Dawn Productions is an entertainment media production company focused on empowering the Black family. And today we got a good treat for y'all, the live stream uh, concerning the 10 ADOS commandments. And, I'm just going to be sitting here chopping it up with some of the ADOS fam from Twitter and from other places. Uh, right now, I'm going to set some, disclaimer notices for the audience. So, just to let you guys know, uh, to all my families and, my families with children and stuff like that, this is, although this platform is usually a family-free platform where there is no, cursing or anything like that on it. Well, I'll try to limit it to as much as I possibly can. However, for the purposes of this live stream, I will not be censoring people. People can say, they can speak what they want as long as there's no threats being made, none of that good, none of that good stuff. Don't bring the goofy stuff over here, please. You know what I'm saying? And we're just gonna chill. We're gonna chill. We're gonna chop it up, and we're gonna have some good discussion, good back and forth, and we're gonna do it big. What's that, ADOS fam? Love to see y'all here. Thank y'all for the love and support. So let's go ahead and get the people in here. Now remember, it's first come, first serve. Okay. So if I send you the email, please be aware that I can't get everybody in if there's no slots available. I may look into rotating people in and out depending on how many people wish to get in and stuff like that. But for the looks of things, there shouldn't be any problems. So I'm sending out invites right now. All right. So I'm gonna wait until people come on in. Check your emails, please. We should be ready to go. What's happening, ADOS fam? I love y'all, man. That's what's up. Come on into the room. Come on in. I'm waiting for y'all, man. But yeah, man. If y'all haven't had the opportunity yet, you could check out that article. The article I wrote on my main website, titled 10 ADOS Commandments. Hey, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all 1 second. Let me keep it real with y'all. You feel me? No lie, no joke. Anytime I hear the name the 10 ADOS commandments, I can't help but to think about that Biggie instrumental, the 10 crack commandments. One. And I'm just playing, bro. But still though, still. Like the beat it just plays in my head every time I say the 10 ADOS commandments. One, I'm just playing, y'all. I'm chilling. We chilling. We gonna have fun today. You feel me? Real talk. That's what's up, man. But yeah, come on into the room, y'all. Come on in. And if you having problems getting into the room, please let me know and I'll do something about that. There is the link to my article, 10 DOS commandments, and we gonna so how this live stream gonna go today. What we're gonna do is we are going to talk about So I instructed everyone to write out their 10 sort of principles, rules and guidelines that they follow, in their personal lives surrounding the ADOS, the ADOS question, or not much question, but our agenda going forward, the Black agenda. And, with that being said, I want everyone to sort of give a brief, brief summary of their commandments, each one, and why they picked it. And then once we do that, we're going to, compare, contrast, discuss, our own personal commandments. And then at that point, I'll open up the room to discussion. Now, how long we gonna stay up in here? I don't know, man. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. But I do got other stuff to do, so not too long. You feel me? So, with that being said, come on into the room, y'all. I sent out the links already. Somebody's having issues getting in. Okay, I'm having issues getting in. Okay, I'll resend the link again. So let me make sure I send that again. Okay. I'll resend that link. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Please hit the like. Please hit the share button. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you. And I'm about to send that link right now, player. All right. Oh, yeah. Where we at? Oh, here we go. Nice. Okay. All right. I resent the link. So you should be able to access it in your email now. All right. Hmm. All right. Right. If I don't get nobody in here to like it, what? I would say uh, 5 to 10 minutes. I'll just go through my article in order to, sort of summarize that or whatnot. But yeah, I'm waiting on y'all, player. I sent out the link. Let me make sure to tell me if you guys are still experiencing any problems getting into the room. So that's what's up. So man, while we're waiting, let me go ahead and do this, man. Shameless plug. Not much of a shameless plug. It is my channel, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, so for those who don't know, I am the author of the new book, Dream No More, Rise of a Lion. You feel me? Dream No More, Rise of a Lion is a coming of age tale. It's a sci-fi fantasy novel. It is about the story of a young boy who is torn from his family due to a civil war, and he's injured and taken in by a host family. And once he's nursed back to health, they find out that he's been displaced on the opposite side of the continent, and his family has been captured by a sorceress. So the host family and Leon are on a quest to retrace their steps back to where they found him when he was injured in order to unravel the mystery surrounding his circumstances and to hone his skills for the journey ahead. So if you like sci-fi, if you like fantasy, if you like all this has an all black main cast. It is a dope book, bro. Like this is like 15 years in the making, man. Like I can go into a whole spiel about this, but show some love, show some support, pick it up. You feel me? Thank you. That's what's up. All right. Do we have no? Okay. Y'all still having problems getting on? Everybody all good? All right, just make a show. Let me look at this. Yeah, it looks like everything's okay. Okay. Yeah, everything's all good on my end. Okay, okay. Nah, it's all good. Take your time. I'm going to be here for a bit. If you having problems with it, hold on. Let me send that link one more time because I know this is some people first time doing this. Now, all you got to do at this point, because I already got the stream and everything set up. So the only thing you have to do is to go to your email address after send that quick link, and just click on the link in the email, and you should be able to jump into the live Google Hangout. So let me go ahead and shoot that to you. Bam. Okay, just did it just did it again. So link should be in your email. But yeah, yeah. So let me go ahead and got another, hold up. Let me see. I'm sure someone has told you. Hold up. I'm sure someone has told you that you resemble a young Robert Townsend. Actually, yes. Somebody did tell me that before. Hilarious, man. Now you should have seen it when my afro, the people, when I was younger with my afro, people used to call me young Michael Jackson, and you know how it is. You know how it is when you resemble famous people. But yeah, yeah, somebody told me that before, man. Man. So while we're waiting on people, how about we do this? I'm gonna go down. Uh, I'm gonna read off some of that article. I'm not gonna read too much, but I'm gonna give y'all some of the 10 ADOS commandments I wrote on my recent article. Again, if you like to follow me as I read this off, you can access the article from the from the link I'm posting in the chat right now. So that's the article right there on my main website, the blog post on my main website. And I'm going to read off just the key points on there, not the entire thing, just the key points. And if you come into the room, or for all my attendees and participants who come into the live chat, when you come in, don't worry, don't hesitate to interrupt me, so I know that you're in. Okay, because sometimes I'm looking at the articles, sometimes I'm looking at the stream. So, it is what it is. But yeah, if you're having any other issues getting in, also let me know that, so I can try to get you on, reel you on in here. You feel me? So let me go ahead and read a bit off of the article for my what I wrote for my 10 ADOS commandments. You feel me? So number one, the first thing I wrote was thou shalt not have another agenda before the black agenda. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna be too dramatic all the time with it, you know what I'm saying? But this first one I wrote like that, I wrote like that, but all of them ain't not like that. So don't worry about it. But but this one's very important. Why is this one very important? Because it makes sure to keep our eyes on the ball. Okay, we have a practice of being sidetracked by a lot of different issues. Dr. Claude Anderson would call them horizontal issues. But yeah, we got a lot of, people, that are, that are in the tank for other people's issues and struggles, not understanding that the number one issue in their life that sort of governs the problems that encompasses the life that ADOS have in America is our lineage claim. Okay, our lineage claim, due to the fact that we spent an enormous amount of time sidetracked with these issues. We've been essentially stagnant for the last 50 years, ever since the civil rights movement. What's good, family? How y'all doing? That's what's up. That's what's good. So, is it in order of importance? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. These are not in order of importance. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, I'd just like to say that we have to come to terms with the fact that we cannot keep allowing ourselves to put our issue, our main issue, that is reparations for the descendants of American slaves, or ADOS, we cannot continue to push that off because we are entering a realm of dangerous territory. It's already projected by mid-century in 2005, well, not 2005, but 2055, that the median wealth of Black families is going to equal zero. Okay? All right? Like, there's going to be a bold line between have and have nots, and our community is the majority in the have nots. We have to understand that this is, a very, very important issue that is centered around our lineage, rooted in the institution of slavery that was placed upon us. You feel me? Like, we really got to put that into perspective. Slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, redlining, all of these central issues that affected our families in the past still hold true, today, as we continue to bear the cost of the destruction that was had to our families in the past. It is what it is. Like, we can't run from it. Like, this is a ghost that keeps following us no matter where we go. So the only thing we are going to have to do as a community, because it's all about community being able to come together through our specific claim in order to seek redress and reparations for what happened to us. And it is what it is, bro. Like, at this point, if we are being quote unquote divisive, then so be it. It is what it is. Like, we shouldn't care about who has our backs in this thing, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's our heads on the line. They ain't gonna feel the pain. We gonna feel it. So, man, we gonna have to take a stand somewhere, and that's why I wrote number 1. So, okay, so I'm looking at the stream right now. And I see that still, a couple people who's trying their best to get into the room. Tell y'all what, we got 8 people watching. I'm pretty sure there's people who are trying to get in. So tell you what, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of sending links to the email, and I run the risk of doing this, if something goes wrong, don't worry. I will start the stream over if something goes wrong. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post the link in the chat room. Okay. Bam. There is the link to the live hangout right now. All right. If you're in the chat room, right now, all you got to do is click that link if you want to join the discussion. Now it's open to everybody, open to the public. Okay? You can come in, you can chop it up, and we're going to talk about the 10 ADOS commandments. I'm still on number 1. I'm filibustering up here, but it's all good, bro. Don't worry. We chilling. You feel me? So if you want to get into the discussion, just click that link that I just posted. I'm doing it again. Bam, there you go. And click that link. Come on in and chill with your boy. Now, you don't necessarily have to be on camera. Don't worry about it. You don't have to be on camera. If you want to turn your camera off, that's perfectly fine. Just, you want to come in, chop it up, come chop it up, man. All right. Cool. So I'm going to go to number 2 while I'm waiting for people. Number 2. Hold on. Gotta get to my article. All right. Number 2, lineage governs the past, or lineage governs the present and the future. Look, hear me out when I say this, man. Hear me out when I say this. A lot of people like to, use that whole shaming tactic. They like to use that whole shaming tactic. Oh, why are you living in the past? The past is the past. Why not keep it in the past? People, when someone tells you that, they are purposely misleading you. Either they don't know what they're doing, or they know exactly what they're saying and trying to mislead you. Okay? We have to understand that there are people who know full well the importance of the past that informs your present, which is an ultimate projection into the future. Okay? What do I mean by that? We got a lot of people living on trust funds. We got a lot of people living on inheritance. We got a lot of people who are getting money, wealth, status, and influence based upon their names and who they're related to. Okay? We got to keep that real, bro. All right? And namely, we got a lot of people in the dominant society, i.e. the white community, who exalt this particular phenomenon, So with that being said, we have to really understand that this is an issue that is being purposely covered up. But they don't want us to understand that inheritance, okay, generational wealth, status, and skills, the skills necessary to learn in the profession. Man, you know how many people got into whatever industry or something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, I feel you, bro. This is a war. I feel you. You have to understand that a lot of people who got into the industries that they got into, they grew up. They grew up with parents in it. Okay, they grew up watching their father fixing computers. They grew up watching their mothers, dealing with patients in hospitals and stuff like that. Like these are issues, these are skills, these are, inherited wealth, wealth transfers given to people from their family. And they're purposely telling you, I don't know what you're talking about. I work hard for this. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's not to say that there's people who don't work hard. I mean, bruh, our ancestors worked to death. They died working, okay? That's what happened. They died working. So, with that being said, when people give you that argument, you have to understand that, listen, when you say that my past does not affect my present or my future, you also have to understand that that person is telling you that your ancestral lineage does not matter. The people who fought, bled, and died for us to get to us where we are right now, they don't matter. Their sacrifice don't matter. That's what they're telling us. Like, come on. Really? Not only were we promised, or our ancestors were promised redress, and they were promised wages for their sacrifice, being forced into slavery to work, to they die. To sit there and let somebody say that to you in your face? No, we got a problem, bro. Either you have to understand that what you just told me was, and let somebody say that to you in your face. It is what it is. All right, hold on. No, we got somebody in the room. All right, what's happening, family?
What up, bro?
What's good, player? My boy T, my boy Terrell. What's happening with it, dog?
Man,
how you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right. Just sitting here listening to what you got going on, man.
That's real. That's real. Thank you for player.
Yep, support. You know what it is.
That's what's up. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
For those people who like to join us, you can go ahead and hit that link in the chat room. That link will get you access to the Hangout. Like I said, you do not have to have your camera on if you don't want to. It's up to you. As long as people are following the rules of the room, we are cool. All right. So my boy T just jumped on. That's what's up. This is unexpected, but we gonna we gonna wiggle through this. We dodge it. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you seen me in the chats because that's what I was saying is real.
Yeah. Hey, I saw you in the chat, but the thing about it is, I didn't think you was gonna join the stream. So I was like, you know what? Since it's just me up here, I am expecting people to come on. People have problems with coming onto the chat, so instead of sending it to emails, I'm just gonna post a link in the chat room. And glad you're here to join us, man.
Yeah. I wanna hear what you got to say, bro.
That's real talk. So, did you have anything to say about what's already been expressed here? Oh, by the way, hold on. Before I go any further, go ahead and please introduce yourself to the chat room. Let everybody know who you are, and I'll let you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'd identify as ADOS. My name is Terrell.
Wait, hold on, player. Hold up.
What's up?
Do you have one ancestor that went through the horrors of slavery?
Yes.
You are ADOS. There's no need to identify. That's who you are.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But go ahead.
All right. So, my name is Terrell. Basically, I'm just here to support. Knew my man Mario for about 6 years. We tinker back and forth with a lot of these types of discussions, and just wanted to see what he got to discuss. Joey T, is that
what's happening?
Is that the same Joey that I know?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's happening, man?
What the hell, bruh? That is so random.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, bro.
Oh, man. It's good to be a part of this, man. Y'all got to excuse me. I'm getting my wife's car fixed out here on the block right now, but I had to join in. I'm going to put myself on mute for the beginning of this, but I'm all ears.
Yeah.
Okay, player. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Man, Mario, bro, it's a small world. That's my guy, Joey.
That is my guy. It's a small world.
Man.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's good. I'm happy people participating. Much love and respect to y'all, bro. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
You pulled up.
So here's what we gonna do this because I'm glad that y'all coming in. Joey, I know you said you're on mute, but give yourself a brief introduction or whatever. We all ears, man.
Oh man, well I'm gonna be right to the point with this, man. This is officially the awakening for all Black Americans. It's got everybody rattled right now. We've been holding up the entire world like Atlas, and now that we're shrugging, it's shaking the whole planet.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of folks don't know how to interpret us. We've always been a resource to people, even to other Africans. So people don't know how to interpret us, and they're trying to figure out ways to put the genie back in the bottle, and it's going to be a problem. Somebody going to have to pay up one way or another. All we're looking for from anybody, whether you America or you Pan-African or you got access to an African nation, we're just looking for something tangible. We got to know friend or foe right now, so we ain't got no time to play.
We definitely okay with holding our own. You see what I'm saying? We've been doing it for many, many years. We just don't want people to ride off the backs of us anymore, to their gain and benefit when we don't, when we lose.
No, that's real talk. That's real talk. Go ahead, Plum. And y'all keep talking right quick. I'm gonna go on mute really second. Go ahead.
That reminds me, and Mario can attest to this. That same statement you made just now, Joey, about whether it be people who identify as African versus ADOS, and these different types of intercultural issues that we have. I ended up having a conversation about that at a Black business meeting, and we were talking about support, and I said, I noticed there were I want to say some people in there who represented different countries within Africa. I don't want to say everybody was Ethiopian or whatnot, but everybody was talking about support, and I said, that's cool and great, but when we're talking about business, Black business in general, and your groups over there identifying as Black, I hope that when we start building businesses that you accept the identity of being Black and we get that mutual support since you're over there, we're all under this unified umbrella now, and that was the thing.
Hold up 1 second, y'all. So I need to address this. So okay, I am getting the call from one of the participants from Twitter on my phone. I want you to know that I am trying to get you into the thing. I don't know if you have access to your email or what the specific problem is, and I do understand that this is your first time doing it. However,
it could be a browser issue.
Yeah, it probably is a browser issue. So, you can use a different browser. You can use Google Chrome. Right now, I'm using Google Chrome. You can also, if you got a smartphone, what you can do is you can download that Google Hangout app. You can download that app, and then you can, come to this chat room and click on the link that's been posted in the chat room. You can click on that link and you'll get into the chat, okay? So hopefully that works and you'll be able to come in and join us, okay? All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about another one. Talk about another agenda item or what's on my ADOS commandment. You feel me? So Number three, I wrote, the Black agenda is the leadership. Now, I'm going to read this verbatim from the articles because this is pretty, important. I wrote, "Let there be no mistake, the Black agenda is the leader. We all know too well of the dangers placing the fate of an exploited, corroded group of people in the hands of a few individuals. It is unfair to have this small handful of people bear the burden of our group's repair and redress solely on their backs. We all must become the flame that guides us through the abyss of confusion, a collective sea of fire that burns brighter than 1,000 suns. And if one of us lose to the abyss, if one of us is lost to the abyss, all of us have what is necessary to carry on the mission. So what do you guys think about that?
And this is something you wrote?
Yes, this is on my website. Let me go ahead and post a link to the article in my from my website into the chat once again. Bam, there it is.
If you were to summarize that in like one quick sentence, how would you do it?
Okay, basically the agenda is the leader, meaning that if one of us fall somehow, God forbids, one of us, were to pass away, join the ancestors or whatnot, we have to understand that it is all of our obligation to fulfill the agenda. You see what I'm saying?
Okay,
like,
so
it is our obligation.
Like a declaration.
Say what?
It's kind of like a declaration, the tenets that exist that, everyone that kind of like governs the whole process of things. Is that what you're talking about?
Indeed.
Okay. So my whole thing with that is if someone does say my issue with the Constitution is this already, right? And I was side note for a second. My issue with the Constitution is this, and we see this many, many times. The judicial system has a difficult time deciphering what the Constitution actually meant or stood for, right? And that's kind of the worry that I have, is that, it's going to depend on the leader to interpret the tenets, the commandments that you're setting forth, right? It's gonna have to be interpreted somehow, because not everybody's gonna read it for its exact meaning. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Things are up for interpretation, as you would say. You know what I'm saying? So basically, when I say the Black agenda per se, we if you actually go further down, it'll specify that the Black agenda is Black empowerment. And if you go to ADOS101.com right now, there's actually thanks to Yvette Cornell and Antonio Moore, and shout outs to them. Shout out to Professor Sandy Darity from Duke. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed and Jason Black and everybody who's been pushing hard for this particular agenda. Basically what it outlines is our sort of policy interest. You know what I'm saying? It is not based on a popularity contest. It is not based upon some red or blue blinders loyalty to a party. This is solely based upon agenda item interest that progresses our group. The ADOS progresses the average everyday life of the ADOS person, utilizing all of our tools to our disposal to make sure that we have the advantage in this political sphere, the political sphere that is. You see what I'm saying? With that being said, if you haven't checked it out before, you could always check out ADOS101.com. And actually, why not? I'll do this right now. I'll just post this in the link, or post this chat in the post this link in the chat, okay? And you can actually read up upon some of the key tenets. And in the article, I actually posted quotes from from the Black Agenda outline on ADOS101.com. These are items, agenda items that we seek to have put into place as a part of reparations that is specifically for the American descendant of slaves. Okay, and that's why these conversations and chopping it up and talking to each other is important. So we all know we're all on the same page, and if one of us fall, we understand. Okay, even though they fail, we still on the same page. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what Neely Fuller calls codification.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There is no confusion if there is a outlined, an ironed out plan of action that everybody should be taking at all times. In this particular case, we're talking about the political arena. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. Yeah. It's dope.
Okay.
That's what's up, man. But yeah, did you have anything else that you want to talk about on that note?
No, not really. I could get behind the idea. I was just playing devil's advocate,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, because you never want to fly blind, right? You want to be able to see everything around you to make informed decision or the wisest choice, or course correct, right? So I definitely do think that no one group, no one person should be bigger than the agenda. I do agree with that very much so, because that's how you get turncoats.
Yeah, and that's how you get steered in the wrong direction. Yep.
So I think as long as we can agree on said agendas, and that's usually the thing, right? Is getting everyone or a good majority to set an agenda that most people will be okay with, because not everybody's going to agree with your agenda, right? That you set forth. So identifying what is the Black agenda, and is that something that most people can get behind, that most people feel that benefits them, that's usually the trick.
Yeah. But I just want to addressing one thing you just said. So the word feel, right? We ADOS, okay, American descendant of slaves, we really have to what we really have to do is make sure that we are anchoring ourselves in the appropriate data available to us, so we can move forward in a logical direction. You see what I'm saying?
That's a very good statement. I agree.
So, empirical data is very important. It has shown us, in numbers, that our condition is not only far worse than anybody thought it was.
It's terrible.
Yeah. But also that these are issues that are stemming directly from the original sin of slavery. You see what I'm saying? Consequently, you also have Jim Crow, mass incarceration, redlining, all these things that happened to our fathers, forefathers, and and everybody, our community, who has been under the thumb of systematic white supremacy for this entire, for the entirety of this country. And some people may argue for even even going back in the days of the Moors, but whatever. For all intents and purposes, we are sticking to our specific justice claim. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, with that being said, once we realize that not only do we have empirical data that shows our condition and that tethers us to our unique justice claim, come to we should come to the realization that our issue and our condition is unique in this country. We are unlike any other people in this country. We built this bitch with our free labor. You feel me? Forced by the gun.
If I could interject for a second.
Go ahead.
If we're using data, then if the data is what sets the agenda, right? Which I agree it should, then a hypothesis should set the data. You see what I'm saying? And so having a clear-cut hypothesis then is also important. And, is the hypothesis that slavery fucked up the socioeconomic well-being for Black people, for ADOS? Yes, it could be. Could it be that? Could it be multiple hypotheses that lead to items on the agenda? I am not sure, but I think these are questions that should be asked in setting the agenda itself, if it hasn't been already. And it very well could be, but I just think it's an interesting line of thought to ask, what was a hypothesis in gathering the data, or what was the reason you got the data in the first place? What did you draw out the data to make an agenda out of? Right.
Now I know that Professor Sandy Darity, or William Sandy Darity from Duke University, he wrote, he already wrote a few books upon this particular topic. Now I know for a fact that his one of his books called 40 Acres and a Mule in the 21st Century, right? He essentially outlined, what 40 acres and a mule, if Black people were to get, or if American descended slaves were to get, were what they were owed at the the turn of the century, when we were quote unquote freed. You see what I'm saying? How much would that equal in today's terms, and how would the landscape have to change in order to sort of reach that conclusion? You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I know he wrote a few books on this already. He's coming out with another book pretty soon. He's been talking about it on Twitter. I forgot the name of that one, but I'm pretty sure I send you some research material on that too. You see what I'm saying? And one last thing I would like to say is that I know for a fact that when the study from Duke University came out, Antonio Moore, Derek Hamilton, William Darity, and a whole host of other researchers. I know when their research paper came out, what we get wrong about solving the racial wealth gap. When that came out, it was already a peer-reviewed study. You know what I'm saying? That is essentially already set in stone, and that's available right now through the public. You can actually look that up right now. I read over that all the time when hearing people hearing people discuss, okay, how do we solve this problem of racial wealth gap, and people give their sort of solution to it. And I go back to that research paper, and it's like, okay, here are all the things they outlined in this research paper that debunks,
What was said.
certain solutions. You see what I'm saying? And they give data, they give information, and it's pretty straight to the point, easy to read. And I think it's an awesome way of showing exactly how how we being led astray. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I would actually, tell you to go read that paper, because that actually outlines a lot of the things that, a lot of those little pitfalls and traps that we've been falling for the last, I would say, 50 years, ever since the civil rights movement. You feel me? So, yeah, man.
Indeed.
Yeah, what,
So I don't want to sidetrack you. Go ahead, brother.
oh no, I didn't want to jump in on you guys. I was just gonna say, you have a lot of cases of people infiltrating a lot of our movements and a lot of our organizations, and people being, planted seeds to distract us. And if you look at a lot of stuff we've been trying to do, you can see in history that it happens time and time again, even up until today. You see that there's been a concerted effort to not even have this conversation with ADOS. These are a lot of leaders in all these black organizations, all these Boule and Links and NAACP and urban leagues, and now all of a sudden they sound like every other white person. They don't want to have the conversation with us. I'm about to mute again real quick, but I'm all ears. I'm loving the conversation I'm hearing.
That's what's up. And I actually want to also say, echo what you just said, because if you know anything about pyramid scheme, you know what I'm saying? If you know anything about a pyramid scheme,
yes, Lord.
as soon as as soon as the rough times come, when money is scarce and the floodgates are starting to open up,
That margin call get called in.
exactly, you know what's up. So with that being said, that goes to show you who is and who is really for you when it comes to this particular topic of reparations to the descendants of American slaves. Like, this has been instrumental to showing us who is friend and who is foe. Real talk. You feel me? A lot of people are sorely miseducated when it comes to this topic, whether it nefarious or not, whether it intentional or not. A lot of people are ignorant, and it's a lot of the times it's not people's fault that they're ignorant. You see what I'm saying? I mean, ignorance is like they say, ignorance is a bliss, right? So, with that being said,
I might have to disagree, because
go ahead.
With the invention of Google,
It's right.
Come on, man. There's no excuse now. You know what I'm saying? And I think time and time and again, we let people get away with that. Oh, they didn't know no better. Like, bruh, yeah, you did. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, fam.
I was going to say, we've been extremely ignorant too. I was going to ask you to, y'all remember when you were younger and you would hear, European or Asian immigrants say, my family came here with nothing, and you would go, oh, I guess they did work hard. We didn't know. We didn't even think about, how'd you get here? We let you in. How'd you have the money? Wait a minute. So you swam from Singapore, huh? You swam all the way from Singapore without a dollar to your name, and you just came up, huh? No, you got it. They would have slit your throat the second you walked in here, having the nerve to come up here and be upwardly mobile. We got you. You know what I'm saying? We not to even argue that. We're like, how did you get here? How come all of y'all your whole family tree don't go back before 1960 in this country? How is that possible? You know what I'm saying? And we haven't been having this argument with people. We haven't realized that for all this time, we've been letting a lot of immigrants kind of kick their muddy cowboy boots on our couch. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't even have this conversation with us. Why are we even wasting time trying to explain to folks who we are? You know who we are. We wore the shackles. Like, y'all know who he is. You know you owe money.
There's something that Mario says time and time and again in the conversations that we have, and I agree with him every time he says it. We should be a revered people, and I say that in a sense of, it is the total opposite that happens. when you deal with people from other countries that come here, right?
Right.
It's a conversation, and I know this for a fact because I have friends from other countries who I went to school with who would tell me my community, my parents told me not to talk to black people. When I got here, I found black people were so cool. And I'm like, yes, we're human beings. Simple as that. We are human beings.
So that's real
Like
talk.
you. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
we should be a revered people, but people don't know our history or don't acknowledge our history, told otherwise about our history. I'm wondering what people learn about American history in other countries when it comes to we learn about slavery every fucking time.
Right,
They don't
right.
even teach slavery in most of Africa. They don't even teach it. They don't even know what happened. They don't know and they don't care because they think we were lucky, quote unquote, lucky enough to be born in America. They don't got no idea.
That's crazy to me because
that's insane.
That's crazy to me because there are times where I've had a Chinese friend, or Taiwanese or someone from who are people who are very studious come over and they're like, they know A, B, and C about America more than people here. You know what I'm saying? But they lack the knowledge of what we would consider common history here of ADOS.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you why. Well, it's one of my theories as to why. A lot of the people that come here get vetted to be here.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that have already America is white freedom land that was built by nice white people. And these blacks here, they don't take advantage of all the opportunities. That's why I'm the good model minority. I'm taking advantage. It's a giant Milton Bradley board game called Don't Be a Negro. You know,
hold on. Let's just revel in that analogy. That analogy was amazing.
You come here, man, you gotta get as close as white as possible within a generation or two. Otherwise, you're gonna end up being in the Negro class. You know what I'm saying? And that is the game. They don't even want to associate with us.
And here's the thing I want to put out there, on the three of our behalves is that, especially Mario, since it's his cast, we are not hating on immigrants
at all.
But we are speaking solely on the hate that we get when immigrants do come here, when people of other countries come here with preconceived notions that we are an evil people, that we are somehow a bad people, and they don't know the history of our people here in general.
Can I piggyback that when you're done?
Yeah, I'm done, bro. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not only do we not hate immigrants, we have literally been the Avengers for you in this country.
Yes.
Literally been the only reason. Like, I hear people say, oh, well, my country gets foreign aid from the white man, and I come here because of the white man. The white man isn't paying you foreign aid because he loves you. He's paying foreign aid to your government so that your government won't say nothing when they destroy your country. He don't care about you at all. You come here to replace us. That is your whole point. It's nothing to do with love. We let you in here. We are the ones whenever, I'll prove it. Whenever these nice, beautiful, wonderful white folks start getting a little too trigger happy or a little too violent because you come in a few too many numbers, like the Somalis in Minnesota, who do you go run to? You go run to black folk to come help you. Everybody come run to black folk to come help them. We always got to be everybody's black brothers on the wall to fight off the White Walkers. That's always what we got to do. It's amazing to me that I have to explain to you what I do here while I'm actively doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like while you're coming to me, blaming me for Donald Trump being president because my voting base dropped down 6%. Not 53% of white women, 6%. But I'm the person holding you up.
Yeah. Let's keep it real, because the thing about it is when I hear people making these arguments about whether or not, ADOS has sincere intent when it comes to the progression of Black society, here's the only thing I have to say. Who were the people who helped Marcus Garvey in his Pan-African movement? Okay, who were the ones that started that? Who was the ones that put the wind to his back? You see what I'm saying? He tried to do it in his home country of Jamaica.
Got laughed out of Jamaica.
Got laughed out. Came to America. He found an entire damn near nation of black people ready, willing, ready to go. You see what I'm saying? And when he was exiled from the U.S. and sent back to Jamaica, he tried to do it again, and it failed again. This is not to say that Jamaican immigrants have no value in our political sphere. This is solely to say that when it comes to what is and what is not Pan-African or black per se, you talking to the ringleaders, player. You talking to the people who made this what it is. And when we tell you that you are out of order in our turf, then you should heed the warning. It's that simple. You feel me? Like this ain't up for debate. This ain't up for debates.
And especially when it comes into that anti-blackness, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, I'm black now, but then, you know, when it comes to appeasing, you know, a white crowd, a community, or like, you know, identifying with your own culture, then it's like, oh, you know, I don't mess with those black people. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, addressing anti-blackness, you know, and that's what I was saying. We got tons of friends who help us address this, you know, and post on the daily addressing anti-blackness within their own communities, you know, whether it's Mexican, Latino communities, you know, Asian communities, you know, Russian communities. Like I've seen people who are like, yo, you know, my community's out of line because of how, you know, our black people are. You know?
We know many of the same people who do that, Terrell. We know many of the same people who literally tell us, hey, bruh, like there's some crazy stuff going on in my community with all this anti-black racist rhetoric. Okay, we know people offhand. And I'm not gonna say no names, but we know people. Was telling us, yo, you're right. There's some crazy stuff going on in my community that I need to, you know, so I need to address and stuff like that. We like, all right, that's what an ally is supposed to do. You go ahead on and handle that. You handle it. You feel me? Yeah, man.
And just to keep that topic on Pan-Africanism, if y'all can hear me, there's this big misconception that the idea of Pan-Africanism is like you know, a giant African union that African Americans are a part of, that we're just not stepping up to the plate and joining in. Pan-Africanism is essentially African Americans. Most Africans on the continent don't even know what Pan-Africanism is. I listened to a podcast with this very prominent African American Pan-Africanist, and he literally called every embassy in Africa, called every embassy in America that was connected to the continent of Africa. Not a one of them knew what Pan-Africanism was, and not a one of them had any kind of idea of how he could become a citizen of their country. They didn't even know what an African American was as far as an African. And we don't even take that to heart. When you want to talk about actual tangibles, I'm going to give you an idea of a tangible that a lot of people don't talk about as far as Pan-Africanism. Have y'all ever heard of the brown condor?
I have not.
Oh my God. Okay, you know how Ethiopians always brag on how they were never colonized, right?
It's true.
Okay, what they don't tell you is during the Second Italian-Ethiopian War, they was getting their asses kicked and nobody in the League of Nations would come to their aid. Nobody. So what happened was the Emperor Haile Selassie had a cousin that went to, I believe, Howard. And that cousin hollered at this dude who was part of a black aviation squad. And he was called the Brown Condor. This is an African American. And he came and he trained them Ethiopians. They had no air force. They were taking areas that weren't, and refitting them to have guns on them and stuff, and teaching them how to fight and use the airplanes that was flying in and out of the mountains and everything. He went over there and taught them how to fight, and it stalled them out just long enough for Italy to pull back on that campaign. So, and then after that was done, he helped fund and set up what is now Ethiopian Airlines, their only real airline. We don't even talk about that stuff. We don't even talk about it. And then Ethiopians will turn around and proudly brag to you about their Italian features because their family married into the Italians that tried to wipe them out.
That's crazy.
We put in work for Pan-Africanism. We put in work for Pan-Africanism. Hey, man, you guys know, man, we're both African Americans, and we was in Africa right now, and we seen something go down like we see in these video channels of these white folk beating up Africans in Africa. Man, we turn into Eric Killmonger right there.
For real.
Yeah, that's real talk. Okay, we got a question from the chat. Let me see. Let's see. It says, how do we take back our seats in higher education and corporate America? Listen to me, family. That's going to have, like right now, we have to understand that policies like affirmative action and policies like what's that other one? Well, affirmative action is the main one, really. So affirmative action has essentially been taken over and is now under attack. In ADOS, on ADOS101.com, it outlines exactly what has happened to affirmative action since the 60s. It is no longer a specific ADOS policy. Now it's open to everybody, and that's where the first mistake was made on our political table. You see what I'm saying? We should have never allowed that to happen. Everybody knows the history of affirmative action. It was purposely put in place by JFK, if I'm not mistaken, to redress the burden of slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration wasn't a thing at the time, but slavery, Jim Crow, and redlining. That was it was specifically supposed to put ADOS people in places, positions within corporate America and higher education to make sure that we have not only a space at the table, but access to the jobs and opportunity that allow us to generate wealth. That was the purpose of affirmative action. Now women can do it, namely white women. Now anybody who's LGBT could do it. Anybody who's under the moniker of quote unquote minorities could do it. You see what I'm saying? Like at this point, we're gonna have to do something about affirmative action. Okay, we got to do something about that. We can't just sit back and let it go unchecked. You see what I'm saying? Now, if any of these other groups would like for that to continue on their behalf, they're going to have to put in political work on their own. You feel me? They're going to have to do it on their own. Okay? We cannot continue to lump our issues with everybody else's issues. If that continues to happen, we will always take a back seat, and that's the problem.
Right.
That is the problem. You see what I'm saying? So go ahead, and if anybody wants to add on to anything I just said. Wait, hold on. One thing, we just had someone who joined the room, if I'm not mistaken. Hello.
That's hot.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing? Okay, you were the one that was having problems with the emails, correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, cool. All right. Nice to see that everything is all good now. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone if you don't mind.
Hi. Well, my YouTube name is anonymous, but my Twitter name is Raunchy Ray. Some of you may have seen me
Okay.
Some of you have not seen me, but sorry that I'm late. I have a list of ADOS 10 commandments.
Yeah. Thank
If
you.
you guys would keep an ear out. All right. So number one on my list is to focus on the bottom line, which is repair, recourse, redress, reparations. If two people agree on reparations as like a bottom line for ADOS specifically, then that's basically all that matters. I feel like everything else could be handled in-house because they're in-house issues within the ADOS community. Number two, I believe, is to be self-centered. By that, I mean to put us first. We have to ask the questions, how does this affect our community? Is it positive? Is it negative? Etc. Number three is to remain objective. We have to question everything. And we have been doing that with where's your family from? How you get to from point A to point B. I remember you guys bringing up the whole immigrants saying that they got to America with nothing but the clothes on their backs, and they were like the poor huddled masses. It's important that we ask questions, specifically get specific answers when people give us those vague answers, that vague rhetoric. Number four is to research. That people always say to follow the data, and I'm a really big fan of that. I feel like opinions are nice, but what are they without numbers? And what is the context of those numbers that people usually present to us, ADOS with the whole movement?
Mm-hmm.
Number five is to be intentional. I believe that ADOS have to be calculated with what they say, with what they don't say, and with how they say things. I feel like it's very detrimental to the movement, especially because it's a very new movement and it's a very needed movement in in this point in time, in the American political arena. Number six is to be socially aware. So I feel like as ADOS, we must embrace our identities. We are both Black and American simultaneously. Because of that, we have a unique ethnic identity, which is unlike anything else within the entire diaspora. And so we have to navigate society strategically according to that positioning. For number seven, we have to remain passionate. We have to make sure that our feelings don't impede our logic and then transform those feelings into constructive action without letting them dissipate. Because usually movements and stuff lose ground when people lose the passion for them. And I feel like that's a bad thing because, if you don't have anything fueling it, it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm really nervous right now, so just bear with me, you guys.
You're doing great.
Good time. Good time. Yeah, you're going hard.
Oh, thank you. If we don't have anything to fuel the movement, and I feel like that's passion because we're very passionate people, then the movement will basically just, dissipate into thin air because there's nothing fueling it, essentially. Number 8, I feel that ADOS should not shy away from pushback. If people have benefited from our position in society, and if they have nothing to gain from us being free in said society, then they'll cry, kick, and scream for us to be oppressed in order for them to benefit from our societal positioning once again. So we must expect opposition. Number 9, we must recognize propaganda and coded language. We have to realize what has the most political attention and what doesn't, and realize that that's not a coincidence. As for coded language, we have to keep an eye out for buzzwords, the buzzwords, typical buzzwords that are used against ADOS, such as like MAGA, people mentioning imperialism, handouts, xenophobia, monopoly on Blackness, white supremacy and the like. So we have to keep an eye out for that. And most importantly, number 10 is that we have to practice self-care. And I believe that sometimes that is temporarily disengaging from a tiresome debate, taking a hot bath, a walk, or anything to ease your mind, to ease your mental state. Because ADOS is a pressing matter. So it's important that you take care of yourself physically, financially, and emotionally to address that pressing matter.
That's
That's
what's up. Thank you. I appreciate
one.
it.
In and sprayed up the room, like, yo, like, yeah, there's a lot of really dope content in what you presented. Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's
Number
what's
one,
up.
I'm hearing a lot of people are going on the record and going, I agree with reparations for American descendant of slaves, but what I don't agree with is the xenophobic blah, 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 blah. Her number one rule kills all that. Oh, you agree? Cool. We don't got nothing else to talk about. Good.
Yeah, it's simply, it's just like emotionalism, and, people, they have certain trigger words, especially in politics. So they take it and they run with it instead of listening to what's actually being discussed at hand. So.
Yeah, I like the point that specifically focused in on data. Which one was that again?
That was number 4.
Number 4. Yeah, definitely, because that's very important to sort of give us a clear snapshot of exactly our positioning within America and the importance of us being in the capacity that we're in as far as ADOS goes. We really have to understand that nobody is going to say anything if we don't do it. We have to be the ones to take up the mantle of our own agenda. Like, and that data really puts things into perspective where people, you have to look at it, you can't run from it. You see what I'm saying? And that's really powerful. That's a really powerful point.
I really like the point of number 10, and the idea that I feel like whenever we have these conversations, someone goes, well, your point isn't making any sense after you've explained it to them 5 times, and you go, cool. And then they go, oh, well, now you just don't really believe what you're saying. You just don't want to have this conversation anymore because I'm right. And it's like, no, it's because you either refuse to listen to what I'm saying and presenting to you with facts, data, everything, or I'm just literally just tired of talking to you, and we often get in these conversations like people feel we owe it to them to have these conversations. We don't owe a fucking thing.
Agreed. Agreed. Definitely agree. I believe personally that that's feigned ignorance, and if they were actually interested in learning like they said that they would, we all use the same search engines from my understanding. We all use Google, so it's available. They just have to be open to actually learning it from a sincere place, and most people are not. So
Right. We definitely have to understand that, there's ulterior motives going on in a lot of these conversations. Like, look, to be blunt, a lot of these people are masquerading like they don't understand anything. Okay, so a lot of them do know what's going on. Matter of fact, a lot of them would continue to like this little carry-go-round to keep going, where we are remaining in our confusion, in our oppression, while they continue to reap the benefits off of what's been going on for the last 400 years. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we really have to understand that there are a lot of people, and they don't necessarily have to be white, that have aligned themselves with the ideology of racism, white supremacy. You feel me? Like, it is it's very insidious, and a lot of people will sit there and smile to you in your face and tell you, "I don't understand what you're talking about," but behind your back, they're winking to the next guy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not cool. It's not cool whatsoever. But that game is coming to an end because we on point now. We're really on point. So I'm really proud of y'all. Real talk.
So
That's
I know we had a question in there, and I kind of wanted to finish addressing that, but I it's your show, man. What's the rest of your attendance?
Okay, so the question from the chat, you say that we was.
Well, you said you had 10 tenants.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? Since we got a lot of people on here now, I'm just gonna run through them real quickly.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna take too much longer. Then we can go back and sort of ask questions or answer or tell which ones you like, which ones that type of thing. So first one, thou shalt not have another agenda before the black agenda. It's kind of already discussed. You know what I'm saying? See, second, lineage governs the present and the future. Okay. 3, the black agenda is the leadership. 4, business is politics and politics is business.
Mhm.
Now, a brief description of that. Basically, what it means is we have a lot of people that are torn in half because they think business is the way to go and they think politics is the way to go. No. You have to understand that it's the same side of the same, two different sides of the same coin. Okay, you got a lot of big businesses right now that have their hands full in politics. Okay, they're trying to keep the rules the exact same way it is so they can keep benefiting off of it. To understand that there is no black business without black politics, and vice versa. It doesn't. These are not things that work, without the other. So that's basically what I mean. Okay, number 5, melanin in one's skin does not supersede lineage, class, struggle, and character. Okay.
I love how you just tackled that. So
right.
You get people like like Rachel Dozo or like
essentially, yeah.
And then modify their skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I feel it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the old saying goes, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And even if a person is black, that does not necessarily mean that they are the end all be all to everything that is the black agenda. They ain't, you know what I'm saying? They're not our leaders. The agenda is the leader. And in order for us to understand the type of people that we're dealing with, we need to also have in mind lineage, class, struggle, and character. We have to have those things in mind. Have to ask those questions, just like y'all said. Let's see. 6, we have no permanent allies, only permanent group interests. Okay? Every other group understands this, that the political, socioeconomic landscape changes over time. Things changes over time. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends, that type of thing. But what we need to understand is that our interest, in reparations for the descendants of American slaves, and all of these other agenda items, they are for the best possible scenario for all ADOS people. You see what I'm saying? That is what should be our, that should be our items that we need to make happen no matter what. You see what I'm saying? Now, if a person or a group, they have some other ulterior motive going on, they have their agenda items, whatever. As long as we understand what we stand for, as long as we understand what's on our plate, then there is no confusion when people come to us and asking us for our help. You see what I'm saying? You want our help? What are you doing to help us address these agenda items? And if you ain't helping us do that, tough luck. It is what it is. It is what it is. Number 7, individualism is antithetical to communal prosperity. Okay? We got a lot of people right now on that individualistic tip. You see what I'm saying? They think that, I'm good with my BMW, my house, my, thing. I'm doing all right. I'm good. But as soon as the police officer comes by and him you up, who you run to? You see what I'm saying? And as soon as the property taxes in your neighborhood start rising and you can't afford the payments on your house anymore, who do you run to? You see what I'm saying? As soon as the banks do what they did like in 2008, you see what I'm saying? And next thing you know, they're repossessing all your possessions. Who do you run to? We got to understand that if we don't rise as a community, we fall as a community. It's that simple. It's that simple. Let's see. Number 8, treat all groups the way that they treat the weakest link in your group. Okay? What do I mean by that? Essentially, if you are going to, if you are going to sit here and co-sign all of these policies and all of these political interests that essentially put us on the back burner, you know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, put us in places like prison for very long times. 3-strike rule, anyone? Joe Biden, you know what I'm saying?
Bill Clinton. Yeah,
Bill Clinton. You know what I'm saying? If that's the way y'all want to play it, then 2 could play that game. It's really that simple, and that goes for everybody. If y'all don't have our group interest in mind, what makes you think that we should have some sense of loyalty to other people? This is supposed to be quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. But if you're going to treat our people like that, and you expect us to give special treatment to you, you got another thing coming. So, number 9, dedicate what you do best to Black empowerment. Okay? This is going to be a very long and hard road to getting reparations for our people, for the American descendants of slaves. I understand that we have a mountain to climb. You feel me? We got a big mountain to climb. However, we also have to understand that we have, in life, we have a lot of different accomplishments. We have a lot of different achievements. We perfect skills. We do all of these things in our lives to try our best to meet that goal. What we should be doing is utilizing what we have, what we do best for the empowerment of our community. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say you have to, you have to be Superman for the community. You see what I'm saying? That's simply to say that whatever it is that you do best, please utilize that skill, that ability, you know what I'm saying, for the empowerment of ADOS. That's it.
ADOS first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful put. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
Go ahead. Because I got one more, but go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You can finish.
Oh, okay. And last but not least, 10, Black empowerment is antithetical to racism and white supremacy. Look, a lot of people nowadays like to say the word racism, white supremacy, and they like to say we need to solve this problem. We need to dismantle, destroy this. And I agree. But a lot of people are not outlining exactly how to do that. We have to understand that this thing called racism and white supremacy is negatable. We can negate this thing. It can be negated. How? We have to understand that we have to empower Black people in order to make that happen,
Mm.
starting with reparations for the descendants of American slaves, okay? Starting with us, because that's where it started from. That's the original sin. If we are going to negate racism, white supremacy, that is how it should be done. All right? So that's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, nice. No, I would have been on my end of the camera, you know, praising, showing out the whole time you were speaking. But I got a clip of your commandments on your blog. Nice blog, by the way, Mario.
Thank
Those
you. I
are-
appreciate you.
But yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. You know, I completely agree. It was beautifully elaborated, and yes, I think that yes, I'm gonna go ahead and adopt your commandments as my commandments.
I mean,
Man.
don't get twisted. You had some good ones in there too, you know. And I won't even say some. All of yours was, you know, was in my opinion just as good. I think you both tackled the crux of the issues that we're looking at. Is the thing, right? And maybe it's the idea that it may require more than 10. You know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's something to consider is that are we limiting ourselves by just having 10? You know,
I mean, technically in the original Torah, there was over, what, like 200 commandments or something like that? But, you know, I'm digressing. Keep going.
We don't even have to take it to commandments. It just be we rename it kabloo blah blah, whatever. It just needs to be, you know, it could need to be more than 10. Now, I do have a question for the both of you, right? And this is maybe something to consider in your own tenets, commandments. What does the end game look like? Do we have systems in place to maintain reparations and wealth, as in protect our wealth? You know, we see the current system. The current system fights tooth and nail to keep what it's got. You know, how do we keep this wealth within our communities, right? How do we maintain this wealth? What do we have in place? Does that fall back into the individual? If we lose it all again, is that on us as an individual? Because we look at issues or instances, we'll go to rap, right? And Mario, you and I have this conversation all the fucking time.
Yep.
What happens when people get on? They sign away their damn masters.
Yeah.
Right? And now, just recently, within the last 10 years, we've seen an independent movement. But how many people signed away their masters for a shitty deal just to get on? You see what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, how do we keep what we get? And I think that's something to consider.
You want to go first, Mario?
Now you can go first. I talked enough.
Okay, so I don't have a specific answer for that, but what I will do is sort of pass the buck. You know, I do feel like that's something that should be studied, you know, in is that HR 40, you know, with the signatures, the study for reparations, that definitely needs to be studied there. If people were generally, and this is not you personally, but if people were generally, you know, interested in how we would do that, they would be more politically inclined. You know, if you have that genuine interest, you know, we would genuinely be discussing it in a bill to study reparations, you know, with our best and our brightest minds. You know, people always reference Dr. Sandy Darity as well as Ta-Nehisi Coates. You know, people have been studying reparations for years. These are scholars, like for years. So I personally believe that it all boils down to our best and brightest minds, you know, in one place discussing that for that bill.
A think tank.
A think tank, definitely, definitely. So me personally, I kind of don't entertain people normally, because I feel that when it comes to politics, people talk to us. They should talk to us, ADOS, through policy, through bills. Don't ask me as an individual, well, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? How about we get our best and our brightest minds together and they discuss that with you in order for you to enforce a bill to study that, because what they're going to do is just going to sit there and debate you on the ground and say, oh, well, this is why we can't do that because X, Y, Z. So, and then just leave it there. So.
I love that. I love that answer.
Yeah. I think we got somebody new in the room. Oh, that's Joey. Okay, cool. He just came back and he put the camera. Okay, cool. That's what's up.
Yeah.
All right, but go ahead, T.
I love that. I love that response because I feel that's definitely how wealth was protected from the system, right? Is they started to create their own policies, which essentially affected enforcement, right? Law enforcement. And I really do think that was a damn good answer, actually.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. Especially, okay, we have to understand that in order for us to preserve this type of thing, I know Antonio Moore would say something like, well, let's get it on the table first and let's actually pass it. You know what I'm saying? But I really believe that we need to let the experts be experts. Okay? Let the experts be experts. Okay. All right. Like, all of that, I'm pretty sure we got very astute people who are ready and willing to go. You know what I'm saying? We just got to put them in the right positions. Got to put them in the right positions. And that's up to us. That's up to the common, person, ADOS, representative to get our people in place. You know what I'm saying? And, as far as I'm concerned, as far as preservation of the system itself, look, the same people who got us into this mess, they already have the knowledge and the expertise to unmantle or dismantle what they've done. Okay, we already know how to do it. The question is, how do we get those people who keep this going out of their positions and putting our people in the correct position? You see what I'm saying? And I really believe that as long as we, keep corralling our, our votes and resources, what little we have, as long as we keep, bringing that together and pushing for a very specific, outcome, we should be able to do this thing. You know what I'm saying? I think we got the leverage to make it happen.
I even, in thinking about all this, I would even go so far as to say, when election time comes, like really push the idea of not voting. Like, we don't need to fucking vote. Like, no, you're not going to make us vote. Could you imagine if, like,
they scared, they scared.
If like 90% of the black population just said, "No, fuck this, we're not going to vote." And I'm not saying don't vote in general, right? I'm more so saying, like, if no candidate has our interest in mind, right? Do we really have to feel that we have to pick a lesser of two evils? Nah, I ain't picking none of you motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not going to be responsible for that shit.
Now, I would say, vote for the issues that matter, especially if you got some local issues going on in place.
Yes. Yeah, localized voting.
Yeah, you can vote for local issues that matter to the community, the ADOS community on the ground. But as far as the national stage go, if we don't have any representatives, we don't have no representatives. That it is what it is.
Right.
It's self-explanatory.
Right.
I don't have a representative because this is a democratic republic. We put representatives in place for the interests of the people. That's how it works. Okay. If nobody represent my interest or the community's interest, in which case, by definition, we have no representatives. So yeah, I don't blame people for not voting for that very reason.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. You know, I've noticed that I'm the only, you know, woman on the chat, and I hate to be stereotypical right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and be stereotypical right now, bring my feminine energy. So when it comes to the issue of voting, you know, in the whole bipartisan, the two-party system, you know, I feel that, not to throw a tantrum, but I feel like if ADOS does not get a Black agenda, you know, like with any candidate, I'm willing to vote to burn the country down. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it.
I told you. I love it. I love it. Go ahead.
Because
I admire this one.
He said, "Fuck this, I'm out."
ADOS, if we do not rise as a community, you know, then basically to hell with it, you know, for lack of a better term. So I personally feel that what can Donald Trump do to ADOS that hasn't been done to ADOS before? You know, there's nothing really dramatic about this president in comparison to the last presidents that we've had in the United States. You know, we suffered mass incarceration, the war on drugs, terrible healthcare, you know, for the individuals in our community. And it's just, I just feel like it's all propaganda. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, by the way, but, you know, I will go there if I have to. So, but I feel that voting for Donald Trump won't be like the end of the world. I mean, people can, I don't know. I just feel like the stigma behind him is all propaganda, you know, because, you know, the open borders thing and immigration, it's a hot political topic right now. And I honestly feel like that's the main reason why people are opposed to Donald Trump, you know, aside from the whole Russia and Mueller report thing.
You know, it's very similar to the whole good cop, bad cop, right? Routine that you see. Both of them have the same agenda in mind, to lock your ass up. You know what I'm saying? To get the information they want to get and then go about their day, right? Someone's got to be the good one, someone's got to be the bad one, but they both have an end game, end goal in mind that, you know, they both share. And I agree with you. You know, it's what Mario says. There's two sides to the same coin. Definitely. You know, so yeah,
man. No, I think Donald Trump is a disgusting disgrace for the country, and I think that's exactly what America deserves. Okay?
That's exactly what
I think that's exactly what we deserve. Okay,
I'll find you.
All right, man, come on. They already tapped my phone, bro. Come on. You know what I'm saying? So this is the only thing that's the only thing I have to say. Even though, you know, President Tangerine is, you know what I'm saying? Even though he is one of the most incompetent representatives ever. However, I think that everyone knows if Black people do not participate, he's going to win again. And as far as I'm concerned, whose problem is that?
Well, even if Black people do participate, we participated in this one.
Right.
I mean, so.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that the numbers show that if y'all should be blaming anybody, you better go holler at them white women. Y'all better go holler at them. They don't want that voted like they did. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yep.
Y'all better go holler at them.
They voted on code.
Yeah. See? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Y'all better go sit around the table, ask your relatives. You know, why you vote Mr. Graham by the, you know what's up. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna say it, but you know what's up.
Hey, they really do be having those conversations though. I've already talked to like a few white friends who's like, man, I got this family member who voted for Donald, or like like I actually know somebody. I can't really say too much because I don't want to put that out there, but they were like, yeah, my wife is a Donald Trump supporter. Like, I just wanted to make that clear. And then we started talking about these issues, right? And I'm like, man, I can only imagine, like, the arguments in that particular marriage when it comes to politics. Woo! You know what I'm saying? Like, man. But yeah, it be happening, man. They rumbling right now in their own backyard. But the majority of them are on code. You're right.
It's funny you bring that up too, because a lot of what's Nearly Fuller Jr. and Dr. Francis Course Welsing, a lot of the things that they taught us about is just how these dynamics play out when you have these people around the dinner table, talking and debating with one another. But as soon as the debate is over, everybody knows exactly what the plan is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
eat this turkey.
Yeah. Like,
pass me the cranberry sauce.
Yeah. I mean, it's really that casual. It's crazy to think about that, but it's really that casual. Like, we just you're gonna debate about the best way of, taking, the best way of continuing business as is, i.e., keeping the country exactly the way it is, as Black people on the bottom of the pile. And, we may have our differences, and it might even get to a point where we start throwing some fists. But as soon as the fist fighting and stuff like that over, everybody, like the whole family knows, okay, it's the family business. We got to keep business going, and let's keep the Black people back. Keep them in check. We got to keep them in check. We got to govern this month. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's very insidious. Like, people really don't understand the dynamic. Like, how do you guys function as a unit working like that? And it's one of those things where if there's a common bad guy, and I put in quotes bad guy, and what it really is, if there's a common victim, and we are the victims. If there's a common victim, all that needs to be discussed is who turn it is, to be in charge of administrating pain to said victim. That's really what it is. Yeah, people act like this, not like that, but yeah.
People pretend, that things aren't the way that they currently are. I just chop that up to gaslighting, like, oh, I have no idea what you're saying, even though we're on this unspoken code. And like you said, Mario, I don't know if they're taught this outright or if it's subconscious. I don't know what it is. I don't know the type of environment. They stay on code. I promise you, they do not break code for anything. Like gay, straight, women, man, religions, anything. They do not break code. Class, the whole nine. I don't know what it is. It blows my mind. I think of it from time to time. And it's something to behold, It's amazing. And not in a good way. But
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what Terrell was alluding to, just on the opposite spectrum. Terrell he asked the question, it was like, how do we maintain a system like that once we do have reparations and policies in place to redress the wrongs that have been committed to us? And I actually think that's what's working on the opposite system, on the opposite scale. The system is what's allowing them to go off code. Like, even if they wanted to go off code, the system will not allow them to do so. And that's why That's why it's very important to put into perspective that the people on the ground, we are, especially the ADOS community, we are a part of the system. However, we can definitely utilize what we have to our disposal in order to manipulate what we can. I'm not saying we could take. Hopefully, we could take it. We could take over, because that's what's. I believe that we are the ones with the most, the most quote unquote just way in order to handle this thing. Especially given our positionality in this country. However, right now we have a system in place that is purposely perpetuating this thing, throughout time. And I think, there are certain actors in place, judges, police officers, private sector gurus, things like that, who are important cogs in the system, who keeps it going, because they benefit from it. They're benefiting from it. You got CEOs get payouts upon leaving, exiting their position and stuff, and the whole company crashes. Yet they still getting millions of dollars in payouts. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things like that. Like, come on, man. Like, we got people out here who are purposely, getting paid for keeping this, merry-go-round going. And it's up to us to put an end to this. Like, real talk.
Definitely.
Now,
going off of that, do both of you think that, if Black Americans, ADOS, had an incentive to stay on code, like white supremacists, like white supremacy allows non-Black people and non-Black people of color do you think that we would stay on code, if we had those same systems in place or the same incentives that they do in place?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
A follow-up question for that. Is it immediate incentive, or is this a long game incentive?
I was thinking the same thing.
That is a good question. I guess when discussing it in comparison to, Caucasians and staying on code, I'd say long-term incentive.
So that is the issue, I would say personally, is when people don't see immediate gratification, they go, what's in it for me now? What's in it for me in general? And if it's long-term, they go, well, I might not even see to live that long-term, right? And so people start living for themselves instead of for their grandkids or their sons, daughters, their futures, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's essentially how turncoats develop in the first place, is that they don't recognize the benefits, in playing the long game and contribute to essentially communal destruction.
Definitely.
I would say let Darwinism run its course. All right. Okay. All right. Let me take that back, because Darwin was kind of racist himself, not kind of racist, but yeah. But look. I'm gonna keep it real. The environment is changing. Okay. The environment is changing. It is not the same environment that it was a very long time ago. And we have to understand that when the environment changes, it's adapt or die. I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's adapt or die. Now, how people choose to adapt to the environment, that's totally up to them. None of us are able to put a gun to people's head and make them do what we want them to do. But however, I would say that, as far as incentives goes, to give people to quote unquote do what is just, that will have to be a long-term strategy. That can't be a short-term thing. The thing that got us into this mess is, learned behavior that was forced onto people through institutional slavery, Jim Crow redlining, all this mass incarceration, all that stuff that has really impacted not only our lives negatively, but have paved the way for other groups, namely, the white community, to be as prosperous as it is. We are the fuel that allows this country to be prosperous. You know what I'm saying? That was the whole point of institutional slavery. In order for us to change this thing, you know what I'm saying? It will have to be at least a 500, 600-year plan, with a proper system in place to not only reverse those effects, but to also make it to where there is a culture surrounding, what I'm saying, the surrounding the progression of Black empowerment. That's the only way I can see this happening. You know what I'm saying? Where people are actively doing it, but we want to get it to a point to where people are subconsciously doing it, where people, just do it without even thinking about it. You see what I'm saying?
Definitely. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we open it up to discussion right now. So if y'all want to talk about anything, you know what I'm saying? We, anything concerning ADOS, that is, we are here to fulfill. So
I
what's
got
up?
something for you.
Yeah.
There's a podcast I think you should check out.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Earn Your Leisure. It's I found it just on Spotify, and it's started by two brothers who one is I think a CPA or financial accountant in his own practice, but they get together and they talk about wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
One episode in particular, actually, there's two episodes that I wanted to reference. One had to do with education, which I wanted to link to the education question that was asked earlier, but I digress to that. One episode talked about housing and real estate and the discrimination that came in through appraisals. So,
okay, yeah.
Right. So one of the stories that they told was actually a personal story of one of the dudes from the podcast. And apparently he went to, check out a house, buy a house. And, in order to get the bank loan for your house, you get the house appraised, and then based on the appraisal, the bank, makes your offer, right, for how much they want to loan you, and then you either take it or leave it, right? So I guess he went to go get it appraised, and actually, I'm sorry, I think he was trying to flip the house. At either rate, excuse me, he went to go get an appraisal, and the guy basically walked around the house, checked out everything, and I think he appraised it lower at a lower value than the cost of, or than the additional, he appraised it lower than the house, the cost of the house and the additional fixes to the house. He appraised the lower value. And then he was like, oh, well, it's because the surrounding houses have a bigger yard, and whatnot. It's not really the biggest size and all this stuff. Yeah. And so he kind of got an inkling that it was, a discriminatory practice. Then they also told another story about how this lady got her house appraised 3 times, right? And it was appraised for about $400,000, and then no, it was appraised for $300,000. And then she had her white friend come over. She took down all the pictures, and then had another appraisal come over, and the appraisal jumped by $110,000. Right. So even looking at how racism plays in, not even just redlining, but like owning a house, right? Even and one of them made a really good statement. It's rare that people even get to that level. that us black folks, us ADOS folk, get to that level in the first place, because the wealth gap is so big, right? Even when you make it to that level, there's still. I think he said he lost $90,000 of potential wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
he lost 90,000
burning
potential wealth that could have been to his kids, to the rest of his family. And you think about that, like he's like, I still made the deal because it's take it or leave it. But you think about how many times that happens across the board. $90,000 here and there. That's a lot of money that gets taken out of our community through appraisals. Right? Not even the bank. Appraisals, right? Being the central cause of that. So it was just something interesting to think about. We're getting hit from all different areas of the game. Not even just the banks, but the people you employ to come do the shit for you. You know what I'm saying? So
that's real talk.
At the end of the day, they had to pay that man to come and give him a bogus appraisal.
It's crazy.
Right. So yeah, definitely, it's not an illusion. We get targeted on all fronts in terms of racism. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to put that out there. Earn your leisure. It's been a very eye-opening podcast, a really good podcast. I'd like to recommend. And then if y'all don't mind me jumping to the education question.
Wait, before you jump there, I just want to also add on to that. Me and you actually have a good book, a good read about why is that the way it is in what is it, Color of Law?
Color of Law, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like we were actually, due to redlining, due to Jim Crow, and ultimately due to slavery, we were made a contagion to wealth, as Antonio Moore and Yvette Cornell, and even the author, Mr. It's on Jim Rothstein. Is it Jim Rothstein? I forgot the.
I don't remember. I was hoping I had it here next to me. I got a bunch of my books next to me.
Did you say The Color of Law?
Yeah,
Yep.
Color of Law.
Let me grab my copy.
Yeah. I forgot the author's name. The first name, anyway.
Richard Rothstein.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Richard Rothstein. That's right. But yeah, man, like people really do not understand the history of just how insidious this thing is. Like, to be made into a contagion for wealth, where you just have one black person around an asset or property that it loses its value like that. You know what I'm saying? You just said a $90,000 drop in potential wealth due to the fact that there's there is a black person within the house, and people like to say, oh, well, it's because of other issues, because you had this, and this going on. Okay, well, explain why this is happening in predominant black communities right now as we speak. Explain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Explain the history of redlining. Explain Jim Crow. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, man. Yeah, we need to do something about this, real talk. And we need to make sure that it's done correctly through our means, our terms. Real talk.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to say something about that? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. It's funny that Terrell mentioned the whole appraisal thing. I have a similar story. It's loosely related, because it's related to real estate, realtors. When I was about 13, me and my family used to look at model homes for entertainment. Sounds like a weird hobby, but oh well. We used to look at model homes, and I remember we viewed this one home that was worth about $200,000. And the lady that was showing the home, she was around, so we asked her how much the home was selling for. She looked us straight in our faces and told us $600,000. Now,
wow.
Yes. Now, we didn't find out that she was lying about the price until we walked further down the street, because I guess the way the neighborhood was set up, the further inward you go, the higher the value of the home. So we walked into an expensive home, and we asked the realtor how much that home was selling for. And she said that home was selling for $600,000. And we told her that can't be, because this home is way bigger than the home that we saw for $600,000 down the street. And she gave us the most confused look ever. And she said, no, those homes range from the 200,000s to the 300,000s. You're in the $600,000 home section. And I didn't put two and two together then, but as I grow up and I reflect on that experience, I don't know, it's hurtful, that people will, like, of all levels, will sit here and lie to your face, because they don't want you in their neighborhood, because they don't want you to purchase a home and make, I don't know, the home equity go down, make the neighborhood look bad. And this is terrible. When you tell people this, they swear that you're making it up. It's all in your head. You're making excuses. Until they actually go through it themselves. Now it's like an aha moment. Like, well, maybe you aren't crazy. Maybe you aren't making it up. So, like, we share these stories, people, they're surprised, and unfortunately we're not surprised, because we know that things like this have been happening systemically in real estate of all places. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible.
And that's real talk. That's real talk. And it's really interesting too, because things are getting automated now. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not mistaken, Redfin, Redfin is a if I'm not, what kind of company is it again? Torres, a housing
realtor company. Like, it helps with, like, housing placement and apartments and stuff like that.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, right now they're doing a big push when it comes to automation within the realtor housing space. And there's a lot of people, a lot of realtors right now running around with their heads, on fire and stuff, because it's like, oh crap, this is coming. You see what I'm saying? It's about to hit. But the thing about it is, it is a double-edged sword, because we already have information on out here in articles and in books and stuff like that already suggests that a lot of automation is being created without without accommodating to ADOS or even Black people in general. You see what I'm saying? Like, face recognition and all this stuff is actually being developed, and a lot of the time they don't even include data that that takes in mind ADOS and Black people. So who's to say that these systems are not going to be the grimy little tentacles of racism, white supremacy won't sneak into these systems. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy, man. It's crazy how evasive this sort of ideology is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And that's
Crazy.
the thing, right? We're in a state of paranoia almost, to where we have to assume that things are going to be built with racist intentions. Like,
Yep.
that's fucked up.
Yeah, that is that man.
We have to assume that everything is racist, because if we don't, then we suffer the consequences of being caught off guard. Like, I'll be damned if I'm headhunting if I ever lose 90 grand.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Just know that I am about to find that person.
All that bread, bud. Come on, bro.
Right. Well, at least he learned, he probably was aware of it, the guy from Earn Your Leisure. At least he learned a valuable lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I'm so mad that he had to take that. Like, why did he go with it? I don't know his life, but still.
Well, it's the idea of, like, he wanted the money. Either he wanted the money to finance this house. I think finance the house flip. That's what he was doing. He wanted the money to finance the flip, or you don't get it. It's a take it or leave it kind of thing, right? Based on the appraisal, based on the appraisal itself.
Man, that's crazy.
Right. So if you get a professional that tells you the house is valued at such and such, and the bank is like, well, this professional said it's valued at such and such, you can't be mad at the bank. You got to be mad at the guy you hired to give you his professional opinion to cheat you out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's multiple areas. We're getting hit from everywhere.
Ain't nothing but some bullshit.
Nothing but some bullshit.
Nothing but some bullshit.
There's that bullshit again.
I guess it's up to us to basically outsmart it. So looking at that situation, I would say that we would probably have to have, if you have like white friends, have them as a representative for you, so you don't get cheated out of, having your things with you.
I for real thought about that though. I was like, yo, I bet there's a market for that.
It has to be. I think about it all the
time. Wow.
My white friend.
Seriously.
Wow.
They can help you out, They live in a society of white supremacy. They can be your representative, so you don't get overcharged for a car or, cheated.
Maybe I should pause the stream right now so that's so we can put that, as a business strategy on our I'm just playing.
Yo, I'm hella glad, bro. It is more than just us two. We talk about this kind of shit all the time. So it's nice to have some additional voices in this, like to hear the silly shit we talk about.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's all, even though it's all in jest, lightweight. It's like jest. You do understand that. Look, ADOS people, we shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the point of reparations. The point of reparations is to make sure that situations like this does not happen again at all. And man, we got a long way to go, but that was funny though. I'm laughing.
The one last thing I wanted to touch on was that question, because I got a lot of experience in digging into education and stuff.
Right.
Man, if we already know the education system is fucked up, right? Now, if we put racism in on top of that, it not only is it fucked up, but it's against us now. You know what I'm saying? So that question of how do we fix education is, we try to make things right economically first. Like education should not be our first and foremost thing, And actually, I want to applaud and speak to Mario's um, investigative matter, to where he asked the author her opinion, and she fucking threw out education. Like that was gonna fix everything. Like, if education is gonna increase the wealth gap even more. Owing $75,000 at the end of your graduating year to work for 48, 50 grand a year, 60, and you're paying off most of that. Most of that gets most of that gets taxed off, and then the rest of that goes to your cost of living, right? And God help you if you got kids. You know what I'm saying? Then, like, you're for Seattle, you're not even meeting the family median income.
There you go.
Income is $70,000, $75,000, something like that.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
So, man, education is not going to fix nothing. Now I'm not saying stay stupid, but going through that particular system isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I say that because you got a lot of schools that are trying to just get your money. You know what I'm saying? Or build their programs off of ADOS in general. And that podcast, again, Earn Your Leisure, actually talked about that particular system and the situation of where the lady from Full House was paying for her daughter's entrance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So check it. They went deep into this and got like the whole story. Apparently, that was uncovered because someone had started a business.
Yep.
Which functioned as a gateway for people who had the money to pay their way into these prestigious schools.
Mm-hmm.
And it went so deep into it. He had sports people. He had sports coaches for the schools on his payroll. He had advisors for these schools on his payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Admissions people for these schools on his payroll. And admissions would be like $10,000, or excuse me, like upwards to like $90,000, $100,000. And so people would get their cuts, right? So what would happen is basically one person got exposed, and then they told on the other person, and then it kept going down this chain, and it uncovered this ring basically of people allowing prestigious families or primarily white families to pay their way into school, right? So now, and I'm taking a point from the podcast. So now you have all of these people paying their way into school, while you have primarily Black ADOS people busting their ass to get into these schools, right? And we ain't got no money like that, so we're still primarily paying portions of it out of our pocket. We're getting sports scholarships, and this is crazy, bro. This is how they tied it into sports. How do most schools make their money?
Sports, Division I athletes.
Yes. So
that's crazy.
literally, they're getting in off the fucking backs of these students who are funding the schools with sports.
Wow, it's worse than that, T. It's worse than that.
Isn't that nuts?
Bro, that's crazy, but it's worse than that. There's more information that came out on that story, actually. So, picture this. information came out recently that you have whole families from predominantly Asian countries also paying into that same scheme.
I'm not surprised, bro. Come on, man. Like, we don't got no goddamn money.
And it's crazy because those same Asian families wouldn't be here without the Civil Rights Act or like the Immigration Act. Come on. You
Like,
know, everybody comes to America and accesses whiteness, like white adjacent.
yes, everybody but us. Like, we
Leapfrog.
cannot access whiteness for nothing. For nothing. You know?
Oh
And
man.
it's like, oh my God. When I was literally sat in my car listening to this podcast, like, I'm not even joking. I'm sitting with the car idle, just tripping. I'm like, wow, they're like off the backs of the sports students though. Like that is crazy.
Right.
You
Who
know what
are
I'm saying?
basically, yeah.
And if you think about it, it's no loss to the school because they're giving free entrance, essentially free entrance to students who don't have money to make them money. Right? Right?
America is something else, isn't it?
Oh,
It's a sight to behold.
it was disgusting. I literally sat there and I'm like, wow, I did not know that because me and Mario talked about the situation, but I didn't know it went that deep.
That's crazy, bro.
I'm just sitting here like, yo, fuck this shit.
Bro, if I was a college athlete right now and I heard that, like, bro,
You couldn't. They
oh
talked
my
about that
God.
too. You couldn't quit. Why? Because for most Black families with no wealth, we are taught and shown statistically your college education is a potential, and it's not even a guarantee. That's the crazy thing. The potential gateway to at least living middle class comfy. So you can't even bear the pain to quit, bro. Because that just might be the ticket to your family's first taste of real wealth.
That's true, but it's not a ticket. It's a false idol. That's
No. I get that. I get
yeah,
that.
yeah. But we've been brainwashed to thinking it's a ticket.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I
It might
understand.
not even be a ticket to wealth, but at least some kind of comfort, right? Like the illusion of comfort. And so, like, it's hard for people to give that up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't ask somebody who's never had nothing to be like, yo, you just figured this out. Can you go back to that? They're going to look at you crazy. You know? So it's a trap, man. We are getting hit.
It's a pyramid scheme, bro. That's what. That's what. I mean, I remember listening to Professor Black Truth. He usually says, you know, racism, white supremacy is actually a pyramid scheme where black people are actually at the bottom of the pyramid holding all this stuff up, and everybody else comes in, like you said, on our backs and profiteer off of that which has already been stolen. You see what I'm saying? And maintaining the quote unquote, the pyramid scheme means that when you come here, you do the one thing you don't do is associate, advocate, or do anything for the progression of black people. Now, or ADOS in this particular scenario, because that's what we are in America. Now, with that being said, bruh, like, man, it's sad, bruh. Like hearing that bit of information is just it's wild, bruh. Like,
I have more to add to that.
man,
So
man,
here's the thing. Even in terms of the administrative processes, right? You have
yeah,
for-profit colleges, you have, all these people pointing fingers, but you have to look at how they were established in the first place, right? whether it's scandals with, whether it's financial scandals with schools, financial scandals with for-profit institutions, bruh, everybody has their hands in these pots. Somebody knows something. You know what I'm saying? And they all point the fingers at each other, but they're all connected. You know, and if you don't mind me talking about my instance with
Go ahead.
so I actually went to a school I didn't know was for profit at first. And then I found out and I left later. You know, I learned in, you know, protesting against the school and things like that, that you have groups like the Ombudsman group, who is supposed to be a representative for students in these kinds of instances. They actually just recently, I think this year, came out and said, or he was the former president. He stepped down from being the president of that organization because of the corruption that was going on in his own organization, right? So you got things like that. They're supposed to help represent us, right? So you got something publicly that came out about that. If you go to your attorney general's office and you talk to them about some of the crediting agencies, or you talk about how the Department of Education is playing against the students now with people like Betsy DeVos, they actually can't represent you because they're a part of the state, right? And therefore part of the government. And the Department of Education is part of the government. So they can't actually take your case. The state representative themselves has to actually step up and file a case on behalf of the state against the Department of Education, right? So they have to make your representative is going to be who's responsible in even taking up that case. So if you have someone who doesn't care, you're done.
Yep,
right?
yep, essentially.
So you have all these interconnected groups, right? And even your servicer like Navient, they work with the Department of Education. There's a department of Navient linked to the Department of Education, right? So you have all these groups, accrediting agencies, everything hand in hand. And it's just a disgusting web of fuckery. Right? It's
that's real.
web of fuckery with racism built into it, right? So now you have predatory lending that comes in to mind with your private loans, and everything it's so bad. It's so bad. So you take that case plus the information that I just gave, and how do I answer that question? I answer it by just not giving a fuck about education right now. Focus on fixing policy, focus on ADOS movement, and really have the Black agenda and pushing things forward, because we are the only ones that give a fuck at this point about trying to fix our own shit.
Yeah.
You know, so anything we get into right now is not meant for us. Like, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's real talk, bro. That is real talk. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, go ahead.
That is sad to think about, you know. I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, well, I'm so sad. But I guess reality is very sad at times. But I'm happy that we're facing reality instead of pretending that reality isn't what it is. You know? Because the first step in, you know, reversing these systems is acknowledging that there is a problem with these systems instead of living in dreamland. I can, gosh, but it is certainly sad to think about, you know, and maybe some people use the coping mechanism of ignoring it, but ignoring it will only make it worse. So it's best to address it.
For the record, so people don't think I'm totally, you know, saying don't go get educated. I have my bachelor's from a credible institution now. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not saying don't educate yourself. I'm saying educate yourself about the education system.
Definitely.
Mm.
Because America is a capitalistic society, and school, at the end of the day, is a business. It's a business.
That's real. That's real talk, y'all. Well, Valerie Jarrett. So I guess that answer wasn't as airtight as you thought it was, like real talk. And we continue to put people on blast like that to help them understand that, listen, we ain't going down the same rabbit holes no more. Okay? We are a lot more informed, we're a lot more in tune, and we have an agenda in place right now, that could be worked upon. If you are really our ally, if you really have our best interest in mind, as an ADOS community, you will take the time to read and understand what it is that we stand for and help us pave the way to Black empowerment. That's it. It's really that simple. So with that being said, we about to close out. It is 2:30 Pacific Standard Time. I'm about to call it. Before we leave, like everybody to just say their final piece. This is the time where you can do your shameless plugs. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and take the floor. Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go first. I would tell you guys to follow me on Twitter, but you guys aren't going to like what I tweet on Twitter. I'm divisive. I say stuff that is, that's my piece. But Raunchy Ray on Twitter at Raunchy_Ray, RAE.
That's what's up. All right, T.
Oh man. Shoot, I guess I go by Bank Sounds on SoundCloud. I make beats, on Instagram. I go by Nest206. That's my personal Instagram. I might use my Bank Sound, bank_sounds on Instagram. I don't got a lot of beats up yet, but soon, so I'm an early promoter right now, so yeah.
That's what's good. That's what's good. All right.
Joey, I do beats now, bruh. He didn't even, I don't think he knew that. I do beats now, bruh. We're gonna have to link up.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to chop it up. His beats go hard too. Hey, yo, Joey, if you wanted to say something, now's the time.
He might be busy.
He's probably away from the phone. Okay, in which case I'll close this thing up. All right. I am Mario Matthews, owner and operator of Menace Till Dawn Productions. Hey, if y'all like to show some love, show some support, if y'all like sci-fi, fantasy, all black main character, all black main cast, that is, sorry. You can actually pick this book up right now. It's called Dream No More, Rise of a Lion at Amazon.com right now, paperback and ebook. Other than that, please like, please share, please subscribe to the platform. And man, this has been a great discussion. I would like to thank all of my panel guests. Y'all are awesome, every last one of y'all. And man, we were just chopping up today, so thank you.
Yeah, this was dope, man. Congrats to you, for putting this together. I hope you do it more.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into this more because this is dope. All right, y'all, we out of here. Y'all be cool, man. Everlast. Y'all peace.
All right. I'm gonna hit you on Twitter, Raunchy Ray.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Peace, y'all.